So Breezy, now I'm going to talk to you about being proactive as well as critical thinking. You never want to be reactive. If a patient's breathing 40 times a minute, they got tachycardia. If they tachypnic, tachycardia, it don't make a difference. They're diaphoretic. If they say they short of breath, contact somebody for stat orders. A blood gas is going to tell you if they have CO2 retention. It's going to tell you what the oxygen level in the blood is. It's going to tell you if they're in acidosis or metabolic acidosis or if they're respiratory acidosis. But it'll tell you if they're compensating either way. But just know, be proactive and not reactive. If a patient's breathing more than 24 times a minute and the respirations are inclining up and you don't do anything about it, just, respiratory comes in, put some oxygen on them, they still claim shortness of breath, albuterol or respiratory, the treatments, nebulized treatments aren't helping, inhalers aren't helping, notify the physician of what he wants you to do. Be proactive, not reactive. Because what will happen is if you don't slow down the respirations or find out what the CO2 level is or get the blood gas, lactic acid, chest x-ray, and there's something going on, reactive is they stop breathing or even worse. Proactive is you notify somebody, they can get more oxygen, they can get a BiPAP, or they can be intubated, and also know the code status on every patient before you call anybody with report. If a patient has a change in the status, be proactive and not reactive. Know if they're full code or if they are no intubation, no medications, no chest compressions. Know what they are. Be proactive and not reactive at every avenue. Because if you're proactive and not reactive, then you'll be doing a lot of critical thinking. You'll be looking, patient's confused. What's their oxygenation? Patient has had a change in his mental status. What's their oxygenation? What's their vitals? What's their blood sugar? Ask yourself the questions that are needed so you can communicate those results with the physician so you can help and be that part of that interdisciplinary team that facilitates the best outcome for the patient. Be proactive and not reactive. It's Brianna, somebody told me, they said, you should go and you should be a nurse practitioner. You should go back and be a nurse educator. But what I find, Brianna, is despite the level of education you have, I can have the entire alphabet behind my name. If I'm not proactive, if I'm not critical thinking, if I don't know the who, the when, the what, the where, and the why, all those letters is not going to benefit my patient. I know why I do what I do. So I always say, know the who, the when, the what, the where, the why, and the how. Critical think, advocate for your patient, and always be proactive and not reactive. Like if you have a patient and just say they are, we'll say, patient has COVID pneumonia. And you got to keep the doors to those rooms closed. If the patient door doesn't close and the patient's door is broken, if the patient has put a work order in, notify the charge nurse, notify whoever puts the work order in, but notify somebody to get that door fixed. Everybody in that pod or that unit don't need to catch COVID because the door don't work. That's being proactive instead of reactive. If the patient says, every time I stand up, I'm dizzy, you don't need a doctor order, Brianna, to get a blood pressure lying, standing, and sitting. You can do it. It only takes about 5 minutes. You're supposed to do them 5 minutes apart, but some people do them minutes apart. And if there's a change, notify the doctor. I also make sure I put a note in and put the vitals in a note. So sometimes the doctors, they've told me on Epic that sometimes the doctors can't see the vitals. But remember, some hospitals buy the entire system, whether it's McKesson, Cerner, Meditech, which is owned by HCA, or Epic. Sometimes the facilities buy the entire system, and sometimes they buy bits and pieces. And the more components of the system that they have purchased, the more it's to me, it gives you more information. So, but communicate everything with the doctor, always. And if, like I said, if they're dizzy, proactive, well, let me check your blood pressure, lying, standing, and sitting. Let me check your blood sugar. Let me look at what your sodium is. Let me look at what your chloride is. Let me look at your H&H. Let me look at your urinary intake or urinary output and how much you drank. Let me see if your skin has tinting or if it's normal. Is elastic. That's critical thinking, Breezy.